Testing, one, two, three, testing. Well, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Creating Web3. I am your host, Tiffany Monahan, and I'm here with Asa Hutchinson, who's the Director and AI Specialist of Pluto Ventures. So welcome, Asa.
Hey, welcome. Thank you very much for having me. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you for joining. So, Asa, it would be great to hear from you, maybe a brief introduction about yourself and what you're doing at Pluto Ventures.
Totally, yeah, sure, no worries. So, super exciting stuff. I mean, it's been going on for a while. I'm the director of Pluto Ventures. I direct with my partner Blake, who actually sits over in Vancouver, and we run a fund that's got sort of quite a hefty portfolio now of around 100 projects. We've been building this portfolio for around 2 years. We're just starting to sort of get into not just starting to, but we're starting to focus a lot more on the NFT side of it. So we've been building our NFT portfolio out since maybe, to be honest, 2017. And then we've just kind of get over into the fund as well. And we've been focusing a lot more on sort of in-game assets, avatars, and also like land sales and things like that we've been participating in, which has been quite exciting. We're doing a pretty broad scope of the market right now because we're doing a lot of R&D. So we've actually just acquired one of our biggest acquisitions, which is super exciting, which is Maze Theory. It's a London gaming studio that predominantly focused into Web2, but all of the guys are super Web3 averse and looking to get into the space. So we're kind of in a process at the moment of a transitional period where we're trying to cut down a lot of our projects and make our portfolio a lot more sort of quality over quantity, because we're starting to really see with the R&D that we've done, we're really starting to see that we need to focus in on our core theses, I guess, as a venture fund.
And what is your core theses as a venture fund?
Yeah, so I mean, they're always changing. You can't say that you've got one designated thesis. I think in this space, we started off absolutely loving DeFi. Don't get me wrong, we still love DeFi. We actually created one of our own DeFi protocols, which is YOP. It's a yield optimization platform where our shareholders can actually go on, stake, and provide liquidity for various different pools, which is super exciting. Got loads of traction from our shareholders specifically because they were, voicing their opinion that yes, they want shares in us, but they also want to be exposed to the crypto world themselves and to be educated into that. And what we're trying to do there is create a UX experience for them to not have to worry about blockchains and interfaces. We just want them to go on, be able to stake their funds, and then just watch their little pots grow. We started really heavily into DeFi. Absolutely loved it. We did loads of really cool infrastructures as well. Tried to dip our toe into some sort of metaverse constructing and renders back sort of early 2019. Have actually sort of come into fruition really well. One of which, like Boson Protocol, we're quite bullish on those guys. They're sort of a metaverse infrastructure, and that was pretty much our first investment when we were focusing on DeFi, right? So when we were focusing on DeFi, that's all we thought existed. And then you're obviously in this space meeting all of these project founders, like so. How do I explain? Like you're getting into the nitty gritty of how they view the Web3 space. So once you've seen, say, 200 plus of those sort of developers and builders, you eventually start thinking, wow, this space is missing this, or this space is missing this. I should start focusing here. And as soon as we met Boson, we started opening our eyes up to the metaverse a lot more. And that's really where we started entering into the game space. So back before play to earn was a thing, we actually did a few investments like Snook, which is like the snake, the old snake game on Nokia. Do you remember that game? So they were the first blockchain game we ever found. They're still going now. They're really, really cool guys, really cool team. They didn't have any play to earn aspects. They just had game on the blockchain. That's all they had. And we were really, really, really hesitant. Like, is that going to be a thing? A lot of people here are looking for DeFi. We weren't really sort of aware about the gamers from Web 2 that have branched over to Web 3 yet and all of that stuff. And then we just fell in love with Snook and their theses. They actually brought out a play to earn element of their game, like maybe last September. And then we started really, really going ham on all GameFi. So play to earn, in-game avatars, characters, land sales, whatever we could get our hands on. We just wanted to provide liquidity, inject our funds and support the projects to see which one really stuck. And, you know, it turns out that most of them are really, really strong builders. That there was so much garbage. I mean, there still is so much garbage coming through the pipeline of our deal flow at the moment, that when we really get into the core aspects of what we're looking for in a team, our due diligence is now so intuitive. So we've got references from the space that we rely on. We also have various apps, various different ways of finding out if people have been in this space. And that's really what got us onto the whole, is GameFi going to last? The due diligence of gamers back in, say, 21, Q4 21, really what we learned there was who's going to be performing through the next bear market. And then bam, the next bear market hit, and it's been like, actually turns out that the last bear market was just a reset. So now we're going through this element of how do we get stronger in GameFi? Hence why we've done our acquisition into Maze Theory. So Maze Theory, as I said, like they're Web 2 gamers, they're a studio. A lot of them come from PlayStation, a lot of them come from Red Hat. Really, really cool developers that all work really well together and are really creative, and have kind of always been restricted in what they can do, how they can provide ownership to their gamers, and just really open to the decentralization of the blockchain. So we've just acquired, I think it's 46% of the business so far, hoping to be the majority shareholder by the end of the year. And what we're looking to do here is build out our Web 2 portfolio and educate them and give people a reason that they should get onto GameFi without necessarily knowing that they're even on the blockchain. You know, you don't want to enter into a space and always have to check to see if you have to connect your wallet. It scares people off. And what we don't want is people entering into our space, having to connect their wallet and not wanting to be a part of what we're building anymore. So yeah, we've got a lot of exciting things going on, that probably being the most exciting and being the main reason why we're starting to scale back on our other tokens. Now we've sort of done our research, you know.
Yeah. And so to maybe back up a little bit, because I think you covered a lot of really interesting aspects here. So Maze Theory.
I get excited and go off on a tangent. I'm sorry.
I love it. There's so many things that we're going to touch on all of them too. So to go back to Maze Theory. So you're 46% owners of Maze Theory, and you said that they're a Web 2 gaming platform, but you mentioned that you want to move people more into the Web 3 sphere without really knowing that they're in Web 3 or that they're gaming on the blockchain. Could you maybe dissect a little bit? Because I think you said some interesting key terms here as well. So like you said before, when you had brought in Snook to the portfolio, that they weren't play to earn, they were just a game on the blockchain. So using maybe Snook and Maze Theory as an example, could you describe a little bit about what GameFi is? What does it mean to game on the blockchain versus a Web 2 gaming platform? And why is it more difficult to get some user adoption in a decentralized game on Web 3 versus Web 2?
Sure. I mean, so obviously Web 2 gaming is amazing. It's been around for years. It's got so many so many different continents of the world, hooked on being able to just relax out of their day jobs and things like that. And it's even turned into more of an obsession for some people. You know, you get the Web2 gamers that are so adamant they have to spend a certain amount of hours on their game per day, otherwise they will be rubbish if they don't put their hours in and put their shift in, as it were. And we want that enthusiasm for blockchain. I mean, the blockchain technology is just allowing gamers to really customize the ownership, the items that they play, the development of games on the blockchain. And also, you know, they can make themselves unique. They can even potentially, it's really, blockchain gaming is giving people the opportunity of how far do you feel you can expand and go and try it. So if you think that you want to be able to use your avatar in one game and then also gain those traits of that game and bridge it over to another game and then be able to use those traits in that game as well, that's insane. Like, you're paying and you're earning all of these avatars to have cool traits. What about if you were able to use them on multiple platforms and you were also able to speak to your friends without having to be in just one particular game, but you could actually just be in the metaverse and you could be gaming with your friends and hopping in and out of various different games and enjoying everything that the blockchain has to offer. So, I mean, that's one of the main reasons that Maze Theory at the moment are so keen to enter into the space. And that's another reason, I guess, why we took a punt on Snook last year, because they weren't doing this play to earn aspect. Yes, obviously play to earn it's a cool concept. If it works and it's sustainable, then yeah, hell yeah, go for it. People are being able to, you know, quit their day jobs that are awful and earn money on the blockchain. I think that's an incredible thing to do. Why train yourself into something that doesn't give you benefits? Amazing. However, a lot of the trends, obviously, I guess, kind of went a little bit south when something hits so quickly and people don't really have an understanding of what's going on. Like, for example, the guilds, right? So the guilds came into fruition where the guilds were buying a load of NFTs OTC, and then once they'd bought OTC NFTs, they were actually then renting out their NFTs to gamers for a percentage. These were called scholars, right? So you'd have to enter a certain amount of nitro boosts on your Discord to be able to become a scholar. After applying, you'd have to do a lot of KYC, and then you would be able to actually go forward and rent these NFTs, and you wouldn't pay anything. You would just split the percentage of your earnings, which
if I can pause you here for a second, because I think you said a lot of really key terms that probably are a bit new for some of our listeners. So you're talking about guilds and becoming a scholar with OTC and KYC. Could you maybe dissect what some of these terms mean for our listeners?
Sorry, yeah, totally. So yeah, let me come all the way back. So guilds, so OTC is actually just like buying your tokens and NFTs off market. So you're getting a discount on what you're buying. So a lot of the guilds would go and buy NFTs OTC, which would mean they'd get a massive discount on the market price, right? So they'd go straight to the game. They'd go straight to the holder and say, I'm going to buy in bulk. Can you give it to me for this price instead of what the market's asking for? And then that would be their monetized incentive to then go and rent those NFTs on the market, right? Because obviously it's about making sure your NFTs have got the skins later down the line and the traits and the stats later down the line to be able to obviously get that money back. Hence why they do it at an OTC deal. KYC is just about it's called know your client. And it's a little bit irrelevant, but a lot of the time when you do any onboarding on the blockchain, a lot of people ask for your information just so they can sort of, really, it's the most centralized thing on the blockchain. It's absolutely rubbish. But it's just so people can understand what it is that you're trying to do and make sure you're a real person and then you're not a bot. So with those two aspects all put together, guilds were kind of feeding off of the fact that scholars couldn't afford their own NFTs, and they didn't have the bandwidth, obviously, to pay for any in bulk. So they were saying, I'm going to buy them in bulk, and we're going to split the rewards. Okay. And that's your rental funds paid off. So it's kind of like the black market and the white market of what we're doing here. We want to make it possible for people to be able to play for free. We want people to not need an NFT to enter into a game. We want people to be able to start playing the game, and then, you know, all of a sudden, maybe on level 5 or 6 or even 25, they get a pop-up and say, you have a really cool NFT waiting for you because you earned it. Why don't you come and claim it and connect your wallet? And then you can understand how this whole crypto thing works. And that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to cut out the middleman, use a lot of our own wrapping, because guilds are wrapping a lot of their tokens. And without getting too technical, we want to cut out as many middlemen as possible and just make our gameplay free for everyone to enter into. And that's really what Snook did. And that's why one of our first investments were gameplay free to play, because it was about the traction. It was about the community. It wasn't about what you would reward them with. You know, the reward was really the blockchain and being able to connect with other people on the blockchain. And that, I think, shifted a lot. And we're seeing a new trend this year where people are going to come into the blockchain and not want to put all of their life savings into one project. They're going to want to, you know, spread it out a little bit. And that's what we're trying to encourage. We don't want to put anyone off. In fact, we want to adopt the mass market and the Web2 players and bring them over. And that's what we've seen really with our venture fund. That's how intelligent the portfolio really is. When you have a portfolio as big as ours, you're able to dictate what you like and dissect what's good about it and what's bad about it. You know, there's some really dodgy builders that are just scamming and rug pulling people. And then there's some other builders who are here for the long haul. They appreciate the space and appreciate everyone else building as well and want to make friends. So it's a twofold of all of the different types of people we're trying to pull together, especially with this acquisition. We're really, really excited for this acquisition, definitely, because of that.
And so you mentioned you have a broad portfolio, and I would love to dive into that a little bit more. So with Pluto Digital, you're running the venture arm, and I understand that there's also 2 other arms as well, the yield and the labs, which it would be great to cover off as well. But maybe to start with the ventures, and you said over the last 2 years, you made 110 investments, and you had a lot of mistakes, a lot of money, a lot of lessons learned, and you even changed your process of due diligence. So I would love to deep dive into that, maybe about some of what you saw in the beginning, which versus where you're focused now and how that evolved.
Totally, yeah. So I guess that's going back to right at the start when I was talking about YOP, right? So it's a yield optimization platform. And what we did there was we encouraged our thesis at the time, which was DeFi. And that was what we really entered the space for DeFi. So we could stake our tokens and, you know, earn liquidity and earn yield and do all of those things. And the reason that Pluto has expanded in a way that it has is because Pluto Digital, way back when, was just Pluto Digital Assets. So we actually opened up as a VC, and that was our entire offering to the market. Really, it's just injection of funds. And then with YOP, it went so well. The community growth was so important for us, and we learned a lot from people's opinions, listening to people and what they're looking for, which is what I think. How can you know the market and where to invest your money if you don't know the market, you know? So a lot of that was our own community growth as well, and our own education. Like, we'll put our hands up and say our thesis has changed dramatically since the beginning. So going from a VC, we've then turned into, yeah, you're right, an umbrella company. So Pluto Digital is the umbrella, and then we've got 3 subsidiaries underneath. So ventures, we've spoken a lot about. We have a lot of strategic partnerships there, heavy marketing, lots of ecosystems that we're tapping into. We've a lot of the time, you know, the directors of ventures are just in the discords, in the trenches of all of the different channels that we can really be finding out our alpha from. And then we've got Yield. So the Yield platform subsidiary is incredible. It's like one of the most understated subsidiaries in Pluto. I definitely push for. But what we're doing there is a lot of re-injecting of tokens. So when we claim our tokens, right, as an investor, we do a lot of restaking and claiming in our vesting periods. And it's a lot of negotiating as well as to how, instead of selling our tokens on the market, which is normally what a VC would do, you know, you recover your initial 5% and hope that that's your money back. So anything that you gain after that is, you know, bonus. Well, what we do is, as we're known hodlers in the space, we actually claim those tokens from our vesting period, and then we go straight into their staking pools. So we have a team in the Yield department who are constantly looking at our projects, who's having a staking platform open up, what the percentages are, what we can get for it if we do it for a certain couple of months, what the market cap's like, what's the traction like across our exchanges, is it going to be worth it for us to re-inject and, you know, support the project longer term. Most likely the answer is yes. You know, when a project goes to market, all the numbers are flying and we make a decision pretty early on. Some of those we probably wouldn't have made the same decision on if we'd gone back and looked at it from this point of view. But yeah, Yield is pretty much a research and development analytical area of the business, which has then really led us onto the labs department. Labs comes from, you know, you've got the baby, which was Pluto Ventures, which has grown into the godfather, as it were, of Pluto Digital. And then we've got Yield.
I love that.
Kind of like, you know, we've got Yield, which is kind of like a little, you know, cousin that's coming in and saying, look, I can help here. And we're like, yeah, okay, get on board. And then Labs is something that we've gone together head to head. The cousin and the godfather have gone to head and said, we want to build something that we know there's a gap in the market and we can create together. So with the research and development from Yield and with the community from Ventures, we've then created Labs. So Labs is basically about 25 to 30 man, depending on the type of market, development team, front end and back end, a lot of ex-Red Hat guys who have worked on a lot of Web 2 developments, and then also moving over to Web 3. Our CTO, John Frizzell, is just absolutely insane. He's so diverse with, you know, the tech that he's getting his hands on nowadays and making sure that we are really edging on innovation. And Labs is now the biggest part of our new acquisition in Maze. So everything that Maze is bringing to us with their Web 2 ideas and their, you know, 0.2 infrastructure, Labs is now adding on that 0.3 infrastructure of what, that's amazing, you can do this, but how about if we put that on the blockchain? How about if we turn this element of the game into an NFT? And that's really where the family tree has grown, I guess. Labs is definitely the newest, the cutting edge area of the process of Pluto Digital, and it's just constantly growing. You know, we never thought that we'd be building our own tech. We never thought we'd be analyzing the market or building our own community. All we ever thought was we're going to put our money in and get double out. You know, and now we're here at this sort of at this the peak of our knowledge, I guess, as it were, where we've really studied everything that we like and everything we don't like, and we're trying to make some new trends. We're trying to make something that's going to be sticky and going to stay in the market.
And so you've kind of transitioned from being an investor to now being a builder and really being one of the big contributing parties in the market.
Totally, yeah. I mean, being an investor will always be one of our core products, just because investing is a great way of not only showing your support to people building in this space, but also it's a massive tool for us anyway, in terms of community growth. We know a lot of people in the market. We are friends in all of the right groups. We own, certain PFPs. PFPs, for those that don't know, are profile picture collection, profile picture pieces that basically your Bored Apes, your punks, your fluff worlds, your party bears, things like that, that are a common denominator of the space. If you were to go out and see a picture of a Bored Ape, even if you knew about Web3 or not, I think everyone would at least understand that, that's crypto, whatever that is. It's an NFT. I don't get it, but that's crypto. So we own a lot of those, and you need to have and hold a lot of those and able to enter into some of the cool groups that we're actually luckily enough to be a part of, which again, it enhances our community to a whole new level. We've got really cool people that we work with, and we try and partner with the best of the best, just so we have best advisory in terms of knowledge and what we're building, and things like that. So it's really, really important to us that we are, for us to carry on being builders, we need to stick to our core, stay with our roots, and remember where we came from, remember what got us here, because it'll always be educating us, the ventures fund.
And one thing that's sticking out to me is this concept of access. Like, you need to have a PFP, like you need to have certain Bored Apes to gain access to certain things, or to gain access to certain people, or even Discord communities, and to buy in. And then what you're saying with maze theory is, this is a way for people who might not have that access to kind of earn it in a way where later on they can gain it.
Yes, exactly. If you don't have the knowledge or the access now, you don't need to understand how, to enter into the blockchain. You don't need that right now. You need it in like 10 years time, when everyone's entering into it. But right now, really what we're trying to do is create a user experience for you've heard it a million times, I'm sure. I'm not the first person to mention that when we were in the 90s, we were waiting for this thing called the internet. And then obviously, bam, now it's our second nature. Like, we're using it right now. We're using it every single day of our life. I think everyone uses the internet at least once a day. And it's because we have
at least
exactly, but there are some areas of the world that don't have that access, which is a shame. But that is what we're also, that's another thing that we're trying to improve here. The access, it's decentralized instead of centralized. You can't get a bank account unless you have an ID card, especially in London. And if you were to branch out to other areas of the world, they need bank accounts. You need to have your money centralized onto a certain system, so that you can, not centralized in the sense that people are holding it, but centralized in the sense that you know what you've got and you can count all your pennies on one screen. And that's what another element of what we're trying to do here with the blockchain. Advise the ability for people to really access it from all over the planet. We've even done a project called Ycrypt back about 2 years ago. I think they only went live earlier on this year, and they are effectively an African Wi-Fi connect to earn project. They only implemented the connect to earn ability a few months back, but originally it was just so that people in Africa could get Wi-Fi access. You don't need to be on the blockchain to understand how to connect to Wi-Fi. You just need Wi-Fi to even start. So there's a lot of innovation that we push for. Free to play is definitely one of the key features that I like mentioning. Another one would probably be sustainability. There's no point, I think, investing in this space unless our theses are all aligned, sustainability needs to be one of those core features. We've got blockchains like Polygon, which are just beautifully sustainable, and Arbitrum, and then we've got Aave and things like that, and they're all really, really working hard on making sure we're not damaging the environment whilst trying to push for a new aspect of the world. This is going to be the new internet for everyone. We just need to get it ready. I guess we need to get it ready for mass adoption, and that comes with UX and UI experience.
And this piece about sustainability is actually super interesting. What are you seeing here? Is it more tied to like the power that it takes to build out, as you're saying, some of the new innovations, or is there other areas as well?
Well, that's the thing. At the moment, we're obviously what the blockchain in itself is obviously is removing the need for intermediaries, right? So already we're removing a whole job there for people. Like the best example I've got that I'm really researching into at the moment is property. So a lot of property, when you're buying or selling a house, you have to have the intermediaries, solicitors, lawyers, the government. They also need to give their go ahead, and all of those people that's their livelihood. Their job is to be your intermediary, right? That's their job. That's how they get their money. That's how they feed their families. But by using the blockchain, we're already cancelling out that element of a job. So those people I'm not saying they're never going to have jobs ever again, but that element of a job is going to die out, like a travel agent, right? We don't use travel agents anymore. I don't remember the last time I walked into a travel agency to book my holiday. I just go on some sort of website where I can book a flight, book a hotel, and it's super easy and it's all online. I don't need any documents. However, really what we're looking for here is sustainability, which can be more measured and easily verified with sustainability metrics, right? So we're talking about blockchain mining as well. So not only sustainability in the elements of people and work inhabitants, but also how it's affecting the environment. Are we putting too much strain on our carbon footprint with certain blockchains? And is that because we've got too many people going towards one particular blockchain? So, for example, we can see with Algorand, their sustainability is, they're nice, they're simple, they're sleek, but they're only able to have 1,000 transactions per second, right? And for mass adoption, we need to be able to have, otherwise that's when the gas fees go up and we can't actually we can't continue using their products because people don't want to pay these extreme gas fees, because we're nearing the edge of what it can cope with. So fingers crossed, by the end of the year, Algorand are going to be implementing 10,000 transactions per second, which is going to open up a whole world of, bringing down the level of gas fee, bringing down I think they're actually looking to go free gas fee, like even like the 1inch blockchain. I don't know if you've heard of 1inch, but they're actually doing refunds for any gas that you pay when transacting any staking on their platforms, which is amazing. So, I mean, there's various different aspects. If it's climate crisis, or if it's, if it's your habitat that you're working on at the moment, that might not be there, and you're in fear that will change, like any an industry, we just want to make sure that this is an innovative environment, an industry and sector, and we need it to be good for the environment on all scales, not just the climate, but making sure people have parts to play in this new world that we're creating.
Definitely. And you're working with a lot of different teams, a lot of different companies. When you look at the teams that you're investing in or partnering with, what do you typically look for that you would say is the makeup of a good team?
Interesting. So it's like one of my favorite questions. Obviously, as an investor, all I do is explore project teams and their founders and their CEOs. For me, a lot of the due diligence is done by just engaging with people, feeling their, it's going to sound so cliche, but feeling their vibe. Like you get on a Zoom with someone and you get to see their thought process. How quick are they to understand a question that you've asked them? How quick are they to answer with an answer that's actually quite satisfactory? We're looking for people that don't say they've been in the space for, the last 5 years, when really they've only just entered and they were working in finance like 2 months ago. That's fine to admit it. It's about honesty. It's about growing trust. We understand as an investor in this space that we could potentially never see our funds again. We don't write into a smart contract our funds. Yes, okay, it is in a vesting contract, the smart contract, but we send our funds and we just hope and pray when you go live, if you go live, that you've added our funds to that smart contract, and that's how it's so important for us to decide whether you are the right team for us to gamble on or not. And a lot of that due diligence does come down to reference checking, making sure that they've got a past history on their LinkedIn, making sure that when they say that they've been interested in crypto for however long, let's go through their Twitter, let's go through all of their socials, let's make sure we know about any other projects they've been associated with. And if I know someone else that's invested in that project or that's worked on that project, what are their thoughts? Have they, did they work hard? Did they cut out early? Were they responsive? Did they give investors their updates that they required? We fill out memorandums to ensure that when we do an audit, we've done our investment strategically. When you do a memorandum, you're effectively saying, we are going to be getting updates, we're going to be checking in, and we're going to be satisfied as investors from our ROI. And really, you don't know, and you have to go on your gut. So a lot of it is about getting to know the team, talking to them as many times as you can. And yeah, as I keep saying it, and I will keep saying it, reference checking people. If they've been on a previous project, I want to know which one it was and how it went and why it failed and why they're starting again. If they've been on a previous project and they're now doing something completely different, that is red flags to me. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Maybe there is a gap in the market for what you're creating now and what you created then. But what about how we go from here? Where do we get how did you get from doing a DeFi protocol then and now you're doing, I don't know, an NFT collection, and all of a sudden you're an artist? That's quite common to see. And it's like, you're not going to get my investment if you're all over the place like that. It's a nice bit of consistency that we see in the market, but I don't feel like I should be giving too much away in case any of your listeners are going to be building. I'm going to be doing my due diligence on you. So I don't want to give you all of my tactics.
They're going to know what's coming.
They're going to cover it up. That's scrutiny.
No, I feel like these things are pretty hard to fake, but you never know.
No, I agree totally. I wouldn't have told you otherwise. But yeah, it's exciting to see. It's exciting to have builders as well come into this space and get excited by, everyone else that's already here building, and looking forward to welcoming them with open arms.
That's awesome. And so one last question for you then is, what looking forward are you most excited about seeing in this space?
Oh, what am I looking forward to seeing in this space the most? Oh, I should have really thought about this question before. I mean, there's so many different aspects. I think, because we're in a bear right now, I think the most exciting thing for me is what the next bull market brings. Every bull market is so exciting. Like, I talk to my friends, my other investor friends, and we get so hyped by everything going live and everything doing stupid numbers and what the next trends are going to be. That's really where we get like our adrenaline from when we're in a bull market. So this market is now for us to relax, put our heads together, see what's going to work, what we want to do, how we want to change. That's how our thesis always changes, right? Every bear market, our thesis is taking a little bit of a turn one way or the other. So yeah, I think the thing that excites me the most, and the the next thing I'm pumped for the most is probably the next bull market. I want to be at the heart of it, and I want to be ready for when it comes. So I think I've got time, but I do want to be ready for when it arrives. That will probably be my most exciting thing. That's always my most exciting thing. Give me a bull market.
That's awesome. Well, Asa, thank you so much for joining. This was an awesome conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really, really cool. I love everything you do. So it's awesome to be invited on. Thank you.
And if any of our listeners want to get in touch with you or learn more about Pluto, where should they go, or how should they reach out to you?
Sure. So maybe we can pop a couple of links up. I'm on LinkedIn. I hang out in a couple of Discords that I'm happy to share people's information on that. And then I'm also part of a new DAO that's being created in London called LWLW3. And what we are is basically C-level females in the space. Just kind of getting together and having nights out, and we're having lunches, and we're also organizing our favorite things in the space. So I'm happy to also add people into our Discord, which is pretty cool. If anyone likes DAOs, get involved.
Awesome. Well, we'll put those links in the chat, or not in the chat, in the in the description, and everyone can get in touch. So thanks again, Asa.
Thank you so much.